Welcome to the Build Your Reiki Business podcast. I'm Christian of Standing Stones Healing, founder of the Reiki Business Collective and creator of the Build Your Reiki Business program, sending blessings and best wishes to your Reiki business. Greetings, welcome, and thanks so much for joining me. It's Christian, and as always, I am honored and excited to have you here, so thank you so very much. In this episode, we're talking about authenticity, being authentic in our Reiki business. Authenticity is something that is talked about a lot. We have coaches encouraging us to be authentic, gurus who say we need to be authentic. But what exactly does that mean? And why is it so important? And are the very people who say we should be authentic themselves being authentic? I think when we talk about authenticity, we have to first define what that is. Now, I'm going to be authentic and say that I'm talking about what authenticity means to me, because authenticity means different things to different people. We all have our own definition of authenticity, just like we have our own definition of Reiki. And so what that means is that how I talk about authenticity, how I define authenticity may be different from how you think about it and define it and what it means in your own life. But for me, authenticity is about alignment. It's about being aligned in our words and actions with who we are, with who we believe ourselves to be, and with how we want to show up. And so authenticity, I believe, is really all about an inner awareness, an inner knowing, and aligning our actions and our words with that inner knowing, that self-awareness. Just as our awareness is unfolding, just as our journey is unfolding, I believe that our journey with authenticity is unfolding as well. As we learn and grow on our journey, we learn more about ourselves. We become more aligned. Well, it's true that we become less aligned as well, and we can fall out of alignment. But as we grow in self-awareness, oftentimes we're able to tell more quickly when we are out of alignment and therefore when we are maybe not showing up authentically. But here's the thing with authenticity and the idea of, quote, being ourselves, is that I believe that we have many selves. We have many versions of ourself. And how we show up in one place is not how we show up everywhere. And so, for instance, how we show up at home is probably not exactly the way that we show up at work, and vice versa. Now, for me, in my Reiki business, this is true. As an example, when I start this podcast, I say, greetings, welcome. And it's my way of welcoming you and expressing my excitement at being with you. Now, of course, I'm not with you right now. Right now, I am sitting in the corner of my den, my dining room, where I have my office. And so I'm not with you. But when you listen in that way, I'm with you. And when I say greetings, I'm welcoming you and I'm expressing excitement. And so this is a future oriented excitement for when you are listening. But When I walk into a room of my home, I don't proclaim greetings. Now, I live alone, but I do live with my cats, and so I'm not saying to them in the morning, greetings, welcome. And so, am I being inauthentic whenever I start a podcast episode by saying greetings, welcome? Because that's not what I do in my daily life. Well, some may say yes. As a matter of fact, I did once have someone say to me that they got irritated with the greetings and the welcoming because it didn't seem authentic. But here's the thing, it feels authentic to me. I'll talk more about that in a moment. But the fact is that we have many versions of ourselves and different ways that we show up in different places. And so my guess is that when you are talking on the phone with your best friend, you're talking in a different way than when you're talking on the phone with your doctor's office. That's not inauthentic. That's just being normal. That's being aware of the situation and bringing that self out for that particular situation. So the self that aligns with that particular situation. That's not inauthentic. That's awareness. That's reacting to the context. And so when we talk about authenticity in our Reiki business, I believe it's important for us to recognize that how we show up in our Reiki business is maybe not how we show up with our best friend. And it honestly probably shouldn't be that way either. I believe that when we show up in our Reiki business, it's important for us to show up professionally. It's important for us to remember that we are business owners, we are professional, and I don't know about you, probably you agree that you would like Reiki to be seen as a professional service. And so, because of that, I believe that showing up professionally is important. Showing up professionally also helps our clients and students and potential clients and students to feel confident that we know what we're doing, that we know what we're talking about, and that we're here to help and serve them, that we care about them, and that we want to offer a quality service. And so for our Reiki business, I believe it's important for us to bring our professional self. Now, what this means for me in my Reiki business is that you're probably not going to see me throw a temper tantrum in my Reiki business. I'm probably not going to be screaming in a podcast episode anytime soon. I'm not a screamer anyway. In any of my selves, but you probably won't get that in a podcast episode. Now, does that mean I'm not being real? No. It means that I am being the version of myself that best fits the context, the situation. Of course, there's so much talk about being authentic, and I believe what that really means when coaches and gurus talk about being authentic is what they really mean is being relatable and being a human. The fact that we have challenges, we have flaws, we have imperfections, showing that we understand other people's challenges and struggles because we've been there, we've had them too, and indeed we still have our own. And we can bring these together, this idea of being relatable while at the same time being professional. They're not opposing ideas. I think too often when practitioners and other spiritual business types hear that they're supposed to be authentic, they believe it means that they're supposed to just completely be themselves, in that they're supposed to share everything and do things like cry on video. Now, if you cry on video, that's okay. Have at it. As a matter of fact, I've had some tears in podcast episodes, but I've also seen some ugly cries on videos, reels that new spiritual business owners are putting out there because they believe that's what they need to do in order to make a connection with their audience and to show their quote real selves. And this is the quote real me. But this is not true. We don't have to perform vulnerability. We don't have to display this raw, messy version of ourselves that, quite frankly, might scare some people. I've seen some videos that have scared me. And so I want to encourage us that if we feel pressure to quote unquote be authentic, that we don't have to messy cry or scream in our content in order to be relatable, in order to be authentic. Ultimately, though, no one else can define authenticity for us, for what it means in our own lives, our own Reiki business. And so while I might see a reel of someone messy crying and cringe, to that person, it may feel very authentic and very real. And someone else may look at that and say, wow, that really resonates with me. I really want to work with that messy crying practitioner. And so they'll attract the clients and students that are the right fit for them. But no one else can define what is authentic for you. And so when someone says to us, you're not being authentic, I always pause and take a step back. I find that I have a bit of a challenge with that statement, you're not being authentic, because how do you know? How do they know? Unless they really and truly know you. I think, yes, your best friends can say you're not being authentic. Your family can say you're not being authentic. But can someone who doesn't really know you say, oh, you're not showing up authentically in your Reiki business? To someone who doesn't know you, they probably can't say that. Only you can really and truly say that. Only we know if we are showing up authentically or not. And so if you have someone saying to you, you're not showing up authentically in your Reiki business, on your social media posts, your videos, your comments, whatever it might be, to before you feel bad about yourself and feel like that means that you have to get really raw and real in your reels, to first take a step back and say, wait, does this feel authentic to me? Does this person even know me? Because what really matters is that it feels right and authentic to you, that it feels aligned and right to you. So don't let anyone else define for you what is authentic for you. When our potential clients and students don't know us, the ways in which they get to know us are through us being consistent. And so, for instance, the chances are pretty good that you don't know me. Like, you know me through the podcast, my content, videos, interactions on social media, all of the stuff I put out there. But you're not sitting beside me right now in my dining room in the dark at 6 o'clock in the morning. The only time I can really record when I close my cats down in the basement at breakfast time. You don't know me. You're not with me in this moment. I mean, no one is right now, but you know what I'm saying. But yet the way that you can get to know me and to feel that you know me is by me showing up consistently and acting in the same way consistently. That's how our potential clients and students get to know us. That's how anyone gets to know us, is through the ways in which we show up consistently, and that people can therefore say, aha, I can expect this person to show up in this particular kind of way. If you tune in to multiple podcast episodes, eventually you can expect to hear me say greetings at the beginning. It's how I consistently start, and consistency creates expectation and familiarity. And that's what really authenticity is. It's acting consistently. And so when someone says, we're not being authentic, I believe what they really mean is that you're not acting in the way that I expect you to act. And I expect you to act in a certain way because of the ways I've seen you act before. I have a whole podcast episode on consistency and why it's so important in our Reiki business. I'll drop it down below so that you can tune into that as well. Consistency and authenticity are so closely intertwined. Ultimately, when it comes to our Reiki business with authenticity, I believe it is simply showing up consistently in a way that is ultimately aligned with who we are. And remember, who we are is multi-layered. So whichever self you are bringing to your Reiki business, probably not the same self that you're bringing to your marriage, probably not the same self that you're bringing to your doctor. Make sure that that self that you're bringing to your Reiki business feels aligned and feels authentic to you. No one else can define it for you. Now, I do want to say one thing about authenticity and artificial intelligence. Because let's be honest, let's be real, that more and more people and more practitioners are using AI to generate content for them, to write things for them, and indeed even to write comments. So on Facebook now, I see it, I can tell it, as soon as I see it, I know an AI generated comment. And that's not authentic. Haha, now here I'm defining authenticity for the person who's doing that, right? But I think that when we have someone or something else generating our words and thoughts for us, I think we can agree that on some level that is not authentic and that is not aligned. And for us as Reiki practitioners, working with energy, working with spirituality, helping our clients to become more and more aligned with their spiritual selves, I think probably you can agree that using AI, working with energy, working with spirituality, helping our clients to become more and more aligned with their spiritual selves, I think probably you can agree that using AI in ways that speak for us is not authentic. Yes, we can use it as an assistant. Yes, we can use it for help, but to write whole posts or whole comments copy and pasted from AI, I personally don't find that authentic. I do not do that. But again, that says more about me and my definition of authenticity than it does about what it really means to be authentic anyway. I think, though, this is the same thing that if we copy and paste someone else's post, I've had this done numerous times to me in my Reiki business where someone will take my post, copy it, and paste it and write their own post and pass it off as their own. Yes, yes, this is true. But we also see this all of the time with images, photos, memes that people will just simply copy and paste and pass off as their own. And so this inauthenticity of sharing words and images that are not our own was well in use way before AI. Now, I do have a podcast episode on plagiarism. I'll drop that down below as well, because that's a whole other topic. But on our Reiki business journey, we feel out the authenticity as we go. And so if you ever get to a point on your Reiki business journey where something doesn't feel authentic, yes, we've all been there. It's when we do that deep inner exploration that Reiki helps us with that we're more easily and quickly able to tell when something doesn't feel authentic to us and something isn't in alignment for us in our Reiki business. And so let's all continue to do that deep inner work, the reflection, our Reiki self practice, so that we know better and better what feels authentic to us and how we want to show up authentically in our business as our Reiki business journey unfolds. No one else can define it for us. No one else can tell us what is or is not authentic for us. And the more self-aware we are, the more we know ourselves, the better we can show up authentically and consistently in our Reiki business. So I'd love to know, what does authenticity mean to you in your Reiki business? What do you think about authenticity? How do you define authenticity? Drop it down below in the comments and let us know what you think. And if you haven't yet, please do grab the free Reiki Biz Kit. It's full of Reiki business information. I've also included some Reiki music for your sessions and relaxations. You can get it at reikibusiness.com/Reiki Biz Kit. reikibusiness.com/Reiki Biz Kit. Sending so many blessings and best wishes to being authentic and to your Reiki business. Thanks for tuning in to the Build Your Reiki Business podcast. Please like, share, subscribe, and send to a friend. Learn more about the Build Your Reiki Business program at standingstoneshealing.com/build. Sending blessings and best wishes to your Reiki business.